I'd like to welcome you all to this board meeting on this beautiful Dickinson County October day. To start off today, we'll have Summit Carbon Solutions give us an update.
Chairman Leopold, may I approach to provide hard copies of the presentation? Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Chairman.
Morning.
Supervisors, my name is Jeff Scari. I am with Summit Carbon Solutions. I'm here today to provide a little bit of an update and perhaps move on at the end and answer a few of the questions. I have a short presentation, about 4 or 5 pages here, that I'd like to walk through with you guys to give you some of the updates. So, let's see if I can scroll it. Here we are. So the first and foremost, one of the biggest changes that we've had at Summit Carbon Solutions is that we have new leadership at the moment. The slide that's in front of you, it should look like the one that's up on the screen. There's 4 sort of comments here that I want to touch on, but I want to start with a quote from our new CEO, Joe Griffin. Our commitment to landowners, farmers, and community has never been stronger. Together, we will build the partnerships and trust that ensure this project delivers lasting benefits for generations to come. So I want to talk about some of the changes. For starters, in the first box that you see on the left, the new leadership and renewed commitment. Joe Griffin has stepped in as CEO, as I mentioned, bringing nearly 40 years of experience and a fresh focus on collaboration and communication, which we're going to touch on here as well. His team has decades of experience in pipeline safety and pipeline construction. In our commitment to landowners and stakeholders, we remain dedicated to voluntary engagement, building trust, and honoring the agreements we've made. We've updated our agreements based on feedback and to offer at landowners a few more options. Path forward, we are focused on creating economic opportunities for farmers, communities, and ethanol partners while strengthening relationships at every step. And we realize that agricultural markets are tough right now. We are focused on access to opportunities. And lastly, it's our goal to have a continued open dialogue. We'll talk about that on one of the last slides, but Joe invites continued conversation and feedback to ensure the project benefits everyone involved. There's some contact information if anybody wants to have a meeting with Joe Griffin and his team. I'd be more than happy to talk about that, set that up. So if we flip the page, this is a little bold, and I want to be sort of upfront about it at the very beginning. When the new team came in, one of the first things that they did is they said, why don't we revisit our vision, our mission, and our values? And we put that into writing. And so why do I present that to a board of county supervisors? Well, simple. We wrote down the way we intend to behave, the way we intend to act. And so we're sharing it not as a sort of bold statement, but rather as a litmus test, something that you have. And if we're not acting up to that standard, you can call us on it. So I don't need to read all of it, but I do want to read sort of the blue language that's at the top so that you understand the rationale for presenting this today. Summit Carbon Solutions embraces our agricultural roots, the foundation of who we are, and lives those values every day. We aspire to drive prosperity across agriculture, energy, and rural communities by unlocking new opportunities through carbon management solutions. So that's there for everybody. There's a few extra copies for those in the crowd up here. And if not, I can always email it. I left a copy with the auditor as well. So what I'm here to present today, it's a new day at Summit. I'm here to present our landowner and community partnership program and kind of cover some of the 4 boxes that you see here and give you an update on what these things are. Right. So the language at top in blue, our project depends on true partnership with landowners, counties, and first responders. By sharing the value we create through easement choices, ongoing payments, community grants, and emergency preparedness support, We're building a project that delivers lasting benefits for everyone along the route. Now, this is where I want you to pay attention as we're reading these. I'm gonna guide you through these 4 boxes because we're not gonna go in direct order. So I'm gonna start with the upper left, and we're gonna drop down to the lower right, back across the bottom and to the top. So let's start first with easement options and annual payments, that box. The first 2 bullet points talk about the options for easements that landowners now have. The first one, of course, is the upfront payment, with the flexibility to break that payment up over time at or above fair market. That's your traditional easement opportunity. The second one is a payment option that is linked to all financial distributions to Summit's current ownership. Said differently, landowners can, while still being covered with their crop damages, the value of the easement can be set aside as what would be sort of similar to shares in Summit, not necessarily shares within the company, but as distributions are made to receive a distribution every time that Summit makes a distribution to its shareholders. And then the last piece in that box in the upper left is the annual stakeholder payment paid per foot per landowner. We made the decision that on an annual basis, for pipeline on your property, you will receive an annual payment. That payment is, and what we've done here is we've set up a system that will also incentivize landowners to work together as we seek out voluntary easements. Today, that payment is 25 cents per foot per year for every foot of pipe that you have on your property. As we continue to get additional voluntary easements, we will continue to raise that amount on an annual basis. Until if we were to reach 100%, we would raise that to 50 cents per foot for each landowner that owns that pipe on their land. Now, if someone sells their land, that's a payment that goes with the land. So the person who's impacted by the pipe on their land will have that payment for the life of the pipeline's operation. So if I can shift your attention now to the bottom right-hand corner where we talk about the community partnership. So once we made the decision to take care of landowners, we also want to make sure that we're taking care of counties. So in similar fashion, on a per foot basis, we have set aside a 12.5-cent payment to the county in the form of a grant every year. And as we acquire additional right-of-way, if we were able to get to a spot where we get to 80% and we bump it up, we get to 100%, we bump that up all the way up to 25 cents per foot of pipeline in the county. That would come in the form of a grant, okay? Now there's a final bullet point on there, but I have an entire slide on it, so we're going to shift to the left. In addition to that annual payment in the form of a grant, at the start under the emergency responder preparedness section, it's our intention to provide $50,000 to each county plus $1,000 per mile as the upfront sort of grant to the county for purposes that they see fit. In addition to that payment, we've made the commitment that we will fund CO2 specific response equipment and training. That will be handled by our team as we meet with some of the emergency response folks to find out what those needs are and work with that. It's our intention to implement real-time notification systems for county emergency response and also have some ongoing coordination and annual exercises with first responders to understand and know how to respond to pipeline incidences. As we go up to the upper right, under survey and construction commitment, landowners will receive advance notice of survey, either 72-hour notice or the statutory requirement. Summit will pay the one-time fee of $500 for all applicable project surveys, and of course, we'll follow agricultural and pipeline industry best practices on construction and restoration. If we flip the page, the opportunity for people to question the entire team, I'll gladly answer questions today, but the opportunity to answer or to ask questions of the entire team is at any one of the numerous open houses that we're going to have in November. I believe looking at this, the closest one is going to be on Veterans Day at 11 to 1 over at Emmitsburg, Iowa. But for each individual, wherever you would like to be, that's the opportunities there. Now, I also mentioned there was a last bullet point. I want to talk about our anticipated economic impact directly to the county. And so This is gonna be the page for the supervisors. It looks like this. It's the one that has the tax benefits on there. We believe there's an estimated property tax value paid to Dickinson County at just over 1.5 million. With almost 900,000 of that going to schools, 100,000 roughly going into the community colleges, 37,000 into various townships and cities, and over $500,000 going into the general fund to be used at the county's discretion. So that's my update. I'll gladly stand for questions if there are any.
Or do you have any questions? I'll open it up to the public. Questions?
Do we need to go up there, Bill, or what?
Where you want?
I think you should. Of us that are hard of hearing.
And Chairman, just so I understand, do I stay here for response or there? Not having presented here before, I'd like to understand, make sure I'm following your procedures.
It would make sense if you answered her questions or comments, so just
Bet.
stay up there, but give her room. They gotta get close to the microphone.
I guess it's more of some statements instead of maybe some questions at the end, but. Kayla Corcoran, 3056 140th Street, Spirit Lake, Iowa. Couple things that I want to touch on is, they're trying to give these grants, well, in their original proposed, this is something that they were already going to be doing. This isn't going above and beyond. The costs and dangers of Summit's proposed project far outweigh the benefits of our communities. Their payments, now they're wanting neighbors to go against neighbors and trying to figure this out. I think we've all come together in Dickinson County and we've kind of said what we want to say and saying no in some of us. They have also amended something recently and they're now admitting, they're almost 5 years into this and they still have no end to this. They're now wanting to take North Dakota and South Dakota out of the permit. They don't know where they want to end up. So what kind of company is that? We're about 5 years in and we still don't know where we're going. I do have a question, I guess, for him is they're going to give us money for our personnel for emergency management. That's the biggest thing for me. You all know that I have 3 little kids. The pipeline is going to be very, very close to our home. I was out walking the other day. My dad right here has stopped operation to come, was combining where that pipeline is supposed to be. There's my dad, my 2 brothers were there, my kids were there, and I just think, what happens if that ruptures? First of all, we have hardly any volunteers in this community, especially Superior over where we are. How long is it going to take for someone? We had a grass fire, neighbor had a grass fire about a year ago. Took 15 minutes for someone to show up. Well, that goes 15 minutes. I don't think we're going to be alive. So I guess my question is, are you going to pay our firefighters or responders that are going to have, because the volunteers are very minimal in our area, especially over in Superior. So I guess that is my question.
Sure.
Thank you, board.
Chairman, thank you for the questions, Kayla. So a couple of comments here. The direct question was, will Summit pay for first responders for their time and for the things that they would need in responding to an emergency? The answer is directly yes. Okay. That is an expense if we cause an emergency and they have to respond, we would be more than happy to pay for that. In addition, we have, so I've been fortunate that I have built and operated a number of pipeline systems. Sure, this isn't the time or place, but I'd be more than happy to talk to you about some of the safety measures that are in place. Your comment that it takes 15 minutes, this pipeline would shut down faster than that. It's a fail-safe system. And when I say fail-safe, like air brakes on a truck, when pressure releases, you have a shutdown of your valve system. And I'd be more than happy to one-on-one if that would be helpful. I don't want to necessarily spend everybody's time here on that topic. And yes, we have been at it for 5 years and we did run into trouble within South Dakota and North Dakota. No, I take that back, not North Dakota. North Dakota was accepting of the project. But as you know, that there were some setbacks in South Dakota. And so we do have an amendment now that allows us to look at opportunities to bring this to other basins. And to be honest, as we look at some of these other basins, we still think that this project is extremely important to the ag industry and to Iowa in general. So we have committed to trying to continue with the project. I certainly understand your concerns. I'm more than happy to talk to you about them if it would help. I'll even give you my card when we're done. And thank you for the questions. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, first, Dennis Jackson, I'm an impacted landowner of this project. I have a statement for you guys. We've been witnessing a pipeline project in the county with Iowa Lakes Regional Water. So I want you to, if you have any changes to your road right-of-way ordinance, check the Wright County road right-of-way ordinance if you want to make any changes to that. For our friend here, Summit Carbon Solutions is not an owner of a pipeline. Summit Carbon Transport is neither a builder nor an operator of a pipeline. I would like to ask him what happens to these annual payments for the county and the landowners when Summit, after 2 years of operation, sells their pipeline to another entity. Is the life of project 99 years, which my easement contract says, or is it the 2 years that they before they sell it?
Thank you, Dennis. If you have more questions, I
No,
won't
no,
crowd you.
that's
So
fine.
thank you, Chairman. Thank you for the question, Dennis. The direct answer to your question is yes, it lasts for the life of the project, not just the entity that owns it. So not the 2 years that Summit owns it, but for as long as they are transporting CO2 through the pipeline.
Okay, well, that's why I'm here, because that letter that you sent out says life of project. Well, that doesn't tell me much,
I understand.
because we are concerned that someone's just going to turn around and sell it. That's all that you're in business for, is to
Sure.
make money.
Yeah, so to make sure for your sake and for the listeners out there, when we say life of project in the letter, what that is intended to mean, and if it wasn't clear, I'm sorry, is for so long as the project, which is shipping CO2 down the pipeline, is
Okay.
working.
All right, I just wanted that on the record.
Thank you for your question. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Megan Sloma, 2365 190th Street in Arnold's Park. I just want to make sure that the board is aware of one more update and what is happening at the end of this week. So I think words and nuances are very important. So Summit has been granted a conditional permit, and basically our right as landowners to appeal from the Iowa Utilities Board is to appeal to the district court in Polk County. So we were gearing up as landowners with our council to have a big appeal on Friday and to talk about basically our grounds of appeal. One of them being landowners who are neighbors but not directly affected, such as myself, not being able to participate, as well as a few other grounds of appeal that we had. So basically Summit changed the rules of the game with rather short notice. And so now on Friday, we are not talking about our appeal and what we've been preparing for basically for months. We are talking about whether or not the whole matter needs to go back down from the district court to the Iowa Utilities Commission to change the conditions that the Iowa Utilities Commission put on the permit, because Summit cannot meet them, one of them being able to get through South Dakota. So one of the frustrations is kind of the rules of the game being changed. And so I just wanted the board to be aware of that and what is happening Friday and kind of the status of things. So we were set to go on appeal on Friday, and basically we're going way back and now have to talk about whether or not we need to go back to the Iowa Utilities Commission. So that has been very frustrating and very time consuming and very expensive for landowners. So that's kind of the status of things, is their permit is still very much conditional, and we'll see what happens on Friday.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Megan, for the comment. If I understand the question correctly, it's some general frustration with essentially the opportunity to remand and consolidate the issues at the lower court level. I can certainly understand how that impacts you, and I see that because there was an opportunity for resolution. And to be very clear, the reason why we're bringing that back down is because the permit did have requirements of a permit in South Dakota. And that's why we filed the amendment, right? Because today we don't know that that's possible as we look at those opportunities. So the purpose of that is to essentially try to consolidate it for the case that it is. That's a case that doesn't, that there's other factors that are going in. And so the point is not to waste judicial resources. Our opinion, and I understand that you have yours. Our opinion is that let's consolidate the judicial resources, remand it and bring it back to the case that's at hand. If that makes sense. And I'll give you my card if you have more questions, if you'd like.
As Megan said, there are those arguments coming up before the district court on Friday. Part of their amendment is, yes, to strip South Dakota, but they want to combine phases 1 and 2 now. After it's been requested and they've denied that. So they want to combine phases 1 and 2. If they combine phases 1 and 2, that could possibly take away the rights of those landowners of phase 2. Because they wouldn't get the hearing and the trial, the hearing that they did back in October. Also, they want to change the infrastructure of that pipe too, the sizes. They want to change the direction. All of a sudden in Woodbury County, they want to go from a 12-inch pipe to 24. It's huge. That's huge. But the IUC has made a comment back to the court, and they said they don't want it back. They want the court to make the decision. They don't want to go through that dog and pony show that they went through for weeks on end in Fort Dodge again. So we did hear the don't change the rules in the middle of the game over and over and over. And so now now they want to change the rules at the end of the game. Kayla, unless our first responders have the SCBA's oxygen, they won't be coming in for you. They'll be setting up a perimeter around you and your family. They won't be coming in. And we need to understand that. Because our firefighters, our chiefs are going to stop them from risking their own lives. So, I mean, that is real. And those are $9,000 a piece. We have the initial grant that they would give us. But those other pieces are $9,000. And then we have to go through a grant system if we want anything more. They're not guaranteeing that we get anything additional in Dickinson County. We have to go through the grant system so they can say no to us and no to us and no to us. And then they talk about how they are for agriculture in Iowa and how they're for ethanol. But if they truly were, Bruce Rastetter wouldn't be tearing down rainforests and building plants, ethanol plants in Brazil to compete directly against Iowa ethanol. He has a plan to have up to 6 of them. It's adding billions of gallons of ethanol to the market a year. It's not going to increase our corn prices. It is everything they say is hope and dreamy. Hope and dreamy. And they can't do a single bit of it without our tax dollars. A company that's only plan is based on the federal government coughing up everything. And then, of course, they've got the carbon credits, which is so that one company can pollute and then supposedly buy these fancy credits because a company over there supposedly didn't pollute. So I go through this over and over and over again, and we're on iteration, I think 4 of a kinder, gentler summit as we've gone through these last 4 years. This is the 3rd CEO. And so to me, we keep throwing stuff up against the wall and they're hoping something would stick. They're looking for a lifeline. It's time to cut the lifeline and set up our perimeter. So thank you. I want to thank this board for supporting our lawsuit in this case and protecting our rights. I want to thank you for doing that. And I hope you will continue. I know you are continuing with the Shelby County case. So thank you. Thank you for protecting us. Barbara Clayton.
Chairman, if I may, real brief, Barb, I hope you can make it to, thank you for the comments. I hope you can make it to the open house, share that with the greater team. Happy
It'll
to.
only be the 4th or 5th or 6th or 7th open house I've been to, so yeah, thanks.
We've been to a few.
Dozens. And it's nice that you always do this during harvest or planting.
Okay, so couple of comments. Number one, the project changed, right? So I understand your comments. The reason why the things are changing with the IUC is because IUB is because the project itself has changed. Your comments are true, and I'll acknowledge that today, right? Some of those places, if we go to a different basin, we do have to change pipe size and re-engage with landowners. That is true, and I understand that, right? So that's why we're back and trying to adjust what we have. From a safety standpoint, fortunate enough that I've been around a number of operational CO2 pipelines in my life and where I live and what I've done, including a pipeline that's been in existence in North Dakota for over 25 years, transporting CO2 through North Dakota. It goes from a gas plant, goes over to Killdeer, North Dakota, takes a hard right and goes up into Canada. I've built pipelines over the top of it. I know farmers who have farmed over the top of it. I have a lot of experience in pipeline operations, and I'm happy to talk whenever you would like. The open house might be the appropriate place so that we can
And
get on with
I'd like
business.
to ask you, what is that pipeline made out of?
Fiber, it's a FBE coated steel. Yep, just like ours.
Stainless steel.
Negative, that is not true.
I was in North Dakota during those hearings. It is a stainless steel pipeline. That's what they admitted.
Sure. So happy to provide you with the actual North Dakota Public Service Commission report on that one. It is an FBE coated steel. I've seen it.
They're saying in the legislator, it is, they said it in hearings, it's a stainless steel pipeline.
Sure.
There's a difference in that pipeline and this one.
I understand what you have said and I'll acknowledge it, that in a hearing, it was mentioned that it's stainless steel. I assure you, and I will gladly provide you with the report, because don't take my word for it, read the report yourself and we'll provide it. So if this is the appropriate spot, I'll continue to answer a few questions, but I'll be brief with the last two, right? So on the safety piece, the other part was the comment with respect to Bruce Brasstetter and Brazilian markets, right? So I just want to say one thing I think is important for people to understand is that the world demands low carbon fuel, okay? For example, and this is one that I think makes a lot of sense. Drinking Diet Coke doesn't make you skinny, right? But people like Diet Coke. So if there is a restaurant that says we're not going to serve you Diet Coke because serving you Diet Coke won't make you skinny, people sometimes decide they don't want it. They want low carbon fuels. So this project is important to Iowa because the world, all of Canada, your West Coast, your East Coast, interior states are looking at these as well. There is a demand for that low carbon fuel. The only way you make that a low carbon fuel is to capture that CO2. So those are my answers. I'll stand down if there's other questions. Thank you, Chairman.
I'm Jeff Jones, Kayla's dad, 1161 Highway 71. When you say about low carbon fuels, what are you changing in the ethanol, in the DDGs and all that process? All you're doing is capturing the CO2, pumping it in the ground, what's gonna contaminate our water supply. Plus, I don't understand how the DNR will pass this for you guys to have all this water. So along that, and then Joe Griffith, our new CEO, is the right-hand man of our oil barons for down south. So what is their total outcome here? To pump this in, to get more oil out? And us farmers, for the CO2 problem, is we're raising our crops, our corn, our beans, and taking care of that now. We need some CO2 for our crops. So along that line, and then back to your EMS, I'm a trustee also. We already merged Superior and Spur Lake back to our volunteers for fires or this. We have a problem with our volunteers. That comes at a different level. I get really nervous up here, but there's lots of things and as far as taking the CO2, you're not changing your ethanol or your DDGs. I feed cattle. I do all that. We're as farmers, we're doing our part. You just want to make a bunch of money from grant money that the federal government's given you to do this project. That's all I can see. It's just a Ponzi scheme because you're not changing anything. You're just going to pump this stuff up wherever well, we don't know where you're going, I guess. So thanks for letting me voice my opinion.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Jeff Jones. So a couple of things. What makes it low carbon? You probably know more about ethanol than I do, and so I'm just going to defer to you. What I can tell you is that the rationale is that CO2 versus ambient air, CO2 can hold more heat. CO2, when it rises with more heat, is a greenhouse gas. Whether that's going to change the world or not, I don't know, and I'm not here to try and tell you or preach to you that this is changing anything in that world. I don't know. Okay, my opinion on that one. I'm not smart enough to know and understand the difference, so we can be level on that piece. If you do capture that CO2, it does create that market for a low carbon fuel, right? And that's what changes. So I think there's a better discussion. I'd love to learn more from you on that particular piece. As far as contaminating water supply, when you inject CO2, this is an area that I have a lot of experience in. I've built saltwater disposal wells in North Dakota, and the injection zone in which we put this in is a saltwater aquifer. It's high TDS, high salt content, that is capped above and below by hundreds of feet of impermeable rock. Today, when we produce oil, you produce a barrel of oil, you produce 1, 2, 3 barrels of salt water. These are the same formations that we put that waste product in today, right? So it's not contaminating. In fact, the only way you can inject CO2 is if you comply with the Safe Drinking Water Act under the EPA, and there is a strict set of guidelines, in which case your injection pipelines, your tubing, everything is stainless steel in that situation. And so that's the piece. You know, as far as the need for CO2 for crops, I certainly understand photosynthesis, right? Since the Industrial Revolution, we've created a lot more CO2. I don't know that the amount that we're going to pull from this system is going to truly have an impact on crops. I mean, I'm happy to talk about that in greater detail here. I don't know that we're going to damage the ability for crops to grow here. I just not sure that that's the case, but happy to address that more if you'd like. Thank you for the question. Thank you, Chairman.
Anyone else?
I just wanna just add just a little bit more. They're adding this 25 cents per foot for the farmers. So I just want to give you just a little bit of math here. So there very rarely will a landowner own a mile of this pipeline, I would say. But if they own a mile, it's $1,320. If you own a quarter section, it's $330. So yeah, they're dipping deep.
Mr. Dollard?
Yes, sir. What what type of safety equipment are you proposing that you provide the local firefighters?
Thank you, Supervisor. The answer is, we'll sit down and meet directly with each county, determine what they have already and what we think those needs would be. So I don't have a specific list, but we have a safety personnel, Jeremy Spoliveri, who will meet with the emergency manager. And we will do some of that, we will acquire that stuff prior to operation of the pipeline. So I don't have a specific answer, but we'll do it based off of the operational needs of the specific county.
And so for how many years, as people grow, age out, so forth, how many years are you gonna provide this training support?
For the life of the pipeline, you're required. So to be clear, so that everybody understands, having operated pipelines in North Dakota, one of the things that you do is essentially a tabletop exercise in which you bring the county emergency response together, you meet with the emergency manager, and we say, okay, let's walk through what we would do on paper as we're all sitting around the table. If we have a leak in this location, what's the first response? How do we know about it? What do we do? You go through that training, you do that on an annual basis. There are other situations in which you do a live drill, right? Where the only people that know are essentially the county emergency manager and your main operator, in which we say, all right, let's simulate what a leak would be in this location. We talk about response time for everybody that can show up and what that looks like. So that's a requirement. It's not just something that we're happy to do. In fact, we absolutely will do it. It's something that we're going to be doing for the life of the project. And thank you for your question.
So does that include like rescue vehicles? Are you gonna put something that can go into a rupture and actually rescue people or treat people?
Sure. So that's a great question. We've had it before, right? The question is, will the vehicles not work or operate in the event of a leak? And so as I was talking about before, we'll look at essentially the size of pipe, worst case scenario rupture. It's a dispersion analysis. What we will do with that dispersion analysis is share that with the emergency response folks and show you all of the different types of extent of what that CO2 looks like in that event, the distance, the time, the concentrations. And so it's a common question, which is, we're going to need electric fire trucks, right? I've heard that one before. The answer is, it's a fact specific based upon the dispersion itself, the timing, the valve closures, and what that looks like. To be very blunt, they're not needed. It's very true. I'm happy to share that with the emergency managers and go through that dispersion analysis with them and show that out. Thank you.
Do you do your training with neighboring counties as well? So if there's an issue in Superior, does Emmett come? Do you train together?
Yes. Yes, there's often a real benefit in coordinating from county to county as well. Right. With all pipelines, gas, oil, CO2, that training is definitely beneficial for all. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. I believe we're out of questions. Okay, thank you. All right, next on our agenda is the approval of drainage and easement collection agreement with Wind Energy.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you all again. This morning, I'm here just asking for the execution of the drainage agreement that was approved after being included in our application to the Board of Adjustment. All this document does is really line out the expectations you guys can have for us and how we're going to treat your public drainage infrastructure. It gives really specific rules and requirements for how we can approach it and what we have to do prior to construction. If you guys have any questions about it, I should be able to answer anything you have, and just want to make sure that everyone's on board.
First thing I thought about was there's nothing in here about roads.
Yep.
But that I understand that's in a separate agreement.
Yep, the road use agreement was included in our application as well, and that was put together in coordination with the engineer zoning office and then approved by them as well.
And Mr. Goodlow, I assume you've read this.
I have. I'm pleased to see it comports with our ordinance, so it's great.
Well, I was pleased to see the $1 million.
$1 million, yes.
Put in the pot. So,
$1 million question, yes.
board members? If there are no questions, is there anything from the public? Of course, you probably haven't read this, my guess, so.
Bill, and this, this is just referring to the drainage ditches?
Correct.
Okay,
Right. Good question.
Well, the drainage ditches and all the county tile.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
well, the county tile, you mean?
Yeah,
The county tile, yeah, but not private tile.
not private tile, just the drainage ditch, any open ditch and any county tile.
Okay, and I imagine you'd like us to take some action.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the Red Rock Wind Energy Center drainage agreement and collection easement agreement.
Then let's move. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Clark is seconded. Further discussion? Now, I assume you were allowed to.
I'm voting as a trustee of the drainage districts.
That's what this is about.
That's what this is
Right.
about. So
But I thought our public might want to know that.
it's as a trustee of the drainage district, you know, and it's my job to vote on this, so.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Mr. Dullard?
Aye.
And Bill is aye. Done.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
And lady, of course, sideline.
Okay, next up, appointment of the Diamond Lake Township trustee.
Eric Larson, I would just ask that we approve Eric Larson. John Gunderson previously was and has needed to step down in that position.
Motion to approve Eric Larson as the new Diamond Lake Township trustee.
Okay, Kim has moved.
Second.
Mr. Clark is seconded. Further discussion? Hearing none. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Levi?
Aye.
Mr. Dullard?
Aye.
And Bill is aye. Item number 5 is the approval of the September 23rd board meeting minutes. I don't find anything amiss. Take a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Dullard.
I'll second.
Thank you, Levi. It's been moved and seconded. Further discussion? As there is none, Mr. Dullard,
Aye.
Levi.
Aye.
Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Kim.
Aye.
And Bill is aye. Item number 6 is the approval of drainage claims. There weren't any this week, so we'll go down to number 7, general discussion, board and committee reports. Kim?
Biggest things to report, recycling, the tree piles at the collection center have gotten to in abundance and I'm not sure if it's been done yet, but he thought grinding would start at either the end of the month or first part now to try and get us back on track there. New green waste prices started in September to keep up with the cost of grinding and other expenses that we are incurring. And all the recycling sites that we have with around the county are doing well. The biggest thing I really want to touch on today is our wellness program. October is our final month for this program, and it's a very important one for our county. At the end of September, we have 82% of our employees who have completed the online assessment, and only 65% have completed their physicals by a physician. We need both to be at 80% for us to achieve the goal of a 5% savings on our premiums. Now, typically, the month of October is the month when most of our employees get in for their physicals. So we are pushing that hugely. And if you are a department head, I plead with you to make sure that all of your folks in your department are getting in. We need about 12 more employees to get in and get their physicals completed for us to reach that goal. And again, this is a huge savings for our county.
Right.
The assessment threshold is met though, right?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. 80% is what we need. But again, we're hoping that, as typically I've seen in the last 7 years, October is a big month for those appointments with physicians. I'm not one that likes to wait to the end, but that's typically what I've been seeing. So that's what I have.
Hey, Zach, have you participated in this?
I don't have insurance until November.
Okay.
Thank you, Zach.
I would, but insurance doesn't kick in till November 1st.
All right.
So can I go ahead and introduce Zach to the public? I know you gentlemen want. This gentleman in the front is our new assistant county attorney.
Nice to meet you.
He's in his second week of working with us. He is already a great asset in finding things and getting things moved along better for us in our office. And we are thrilled and delighted to have Zach with us. So
Nice to meet you all.
that's Zach.
Am I allowed to address the public?
Briefly, because we don't like to be long.
I'm Zach Barish. I'm from Marion, Iowa, over by Cedar Rapids. I just graduated from the University of Gonzaga School of Law in Eastern Washington, not the western part where all the weird people are. And then I saw housing prices in Washington and taxes in Washington and decided I wanted to come back to Iowa. Passed the bar in July and now I'm working here.
Well, thank you, Zach. Mr. Bellard.
Yes, sir. After our meeting on the 23rd, I had a board meeting with Upper Des Moines Opportunity by Zoom, and it was a very interesting meeting. This office is in the top 5 when it comes to personnel and the services they provide in their funding. However, they're in the bottom half when it comes to wages. So we had a lot of discussion on that in that area on wages and what they're going to be doing, because there's a conflict. If they raise the lower managers up, then they go beyond the directors' positions in those areas. So they kind of have to do everybody at once. There was a lot of discussion about the possible effects on UDMO, and then been dealing with a lot of emails with that since the shutdown has occurred. The directors put out that she's reassuring emails and closely monitoring the shutdown situation for how it affects their operations. And the Head Start and Early Head Start director has info from the National Head Start Association that these programs will not be affected. So they're asking to reassure parents and so forth that they're still going to have their support. On the 25th, I attended the Vets Coffee which Spring puts on, and it was very well attended. It was probably one of the most attended ones we've had. I think there was 38 or more people there, not including, she had a couple of presenters, and it was very good information for the guys that were there. They provided really good information. On the 27th, I served at our church's food pantry. The numbers are going up for us. So evidently, between us and the Hunger Coalition, we're getting the word out more and more. But on the bad side of that is there's a lot more need out there than there was before. So, and then on the 2nd, I assisted in the church with the delivery from the products from the Food Bank of Iowa, and that's about all I have.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Now, does that mean that higher wages does not mean better performance?
They have a really good, they're in the top 5 for their performance and how they're running everything.
Wages are
Yeah, but their wages are,
something to consider.
they're in the bottom half of all the ones in the state.
Okay, Steve.
I had a pretty light 2 weeks, end of the month. I did meet a couple times with, some of the trustees of the sanitary district. On the 24th, we had a special conservation board meeting where we met on the Sherwood Park drainage problem. And I just got an email that will be discussed and either approved or whatever at the next conservation board meeting. So they have a plan, and it's, I haven't read through the whole thing, but there's a plan out there to get it fixed and have it open, hopefully by spring.
Okay, good. Levi.
On the 23rd, after our last meeting, I met with Mr. Clark and went to the board meeting for the sanitation district. Wednesday last week, I went to the urban renewal planning meeting at City Hall, which actually isn't a thing. I was the only one that showed up. And I was on time, the only one that was on time. So, yeah, I'm, learning. I had early childhood last week on Thursday. There's still a lot of confusion with the state, and going from districts to regions or regions to districts, I'm sorry. And we had a representative from the state join us on Zoom at this meeting, and hopefully the communication will improve, and it's just been a real slow process, and there's been a lot of our local ECI chapter is I really feel is taking one on the chin here with all these changes, and I'm hoping that things will improve here. But and then this week I will attend the Taxpayer Association meeting on Thursday.
Very good. As far as official duties, I didn't have any, but last week I did go to the Corridor's proclamation recognition of Manufacturing Month. And I'm glad I went because only 4 people showed up. A lot of our farmers were in the field. Mr. Anderson had city business that he had to transact, so I was glad I was there. You want to read the proclamation, it's here. You'll notice Mr. Billings and I wore our camouflage to fit into the white. So anyway, that's there. Does anyone have anything out there?
I have one more thing too.
Oh,
Bill.
okay, Steve.
Go ahead, Barb.
So, have any of you had a chance to attend Grid Shock? Stacy Besh's program? If you haven't, I think you should go. You have one more opportunity to attend, which is tonight in Esterville at 6:30 at the Cornerstone Global Church. It's about human trafficking. And it's about, we are number 3 in the country per capita, Iowa is, for human trafficking. And Okoboji is a magnet. Stacy Besh has given this program nearly 200 times. She did the staff in Okoboji last spring, and then we had our free program that night, and then she did students of Okoboji last week, and the previous night there was a public meeting, and then yesterday was the students of Spirit Lake 7 through 12, and also she had Sunday night she had a public meeting. So her Sunday night meeting in Spirit Lake at the Sammy Center, they had about 500 people there. So we are getting the word out in the community. I think it's really important for our local officials, our county attorneys, our police officers, which a lot of our local police and sheriff's department, they've been to the program either during the day or in the evening. So tonight at 6:30 in Esterville at Cornerstone Global Methodist Church. And it's 2 hours. The movie is the first hour, the documentary. And then the second hour, Stacy talks about ways to protect your children, your grandchildren, and our community. And also legislation and where things like that are. So what we can do to be proactive in protecting our communities. So I do have, if you want me to send you a copy of the flyer for tonight, I can do that. But so I think it's extremely important. And the number of children after, so Stacy's we're friends, so she stayed at my house last Sunday night and this Sunday night. And after her program in Spirit Lake, the number of students that came forward and have had horrific experiences was shocking. It is shocking. So this isn't just hyperbole. This is the truth, and it's hidden within our community. So let's protect our children.
I've seen it. It's a very good program. Very, very good.
Good morning, Chris Van Cleek, 2326 270th Avenue, Milford. I have seen that as well, and it is very impactful. And for many of us that are mandatory reporters, it just adds on to that knowledge. They did announce there will be another presentation in Spencer. I think it's November 2nd. It's on Facebook. So I think there will be more opportunities if you can't make it to the one that Barb was talking about. Primarily, I just wanted to ask a couple of questions, and I apologize because I know there was a comment made on the road agreement and I couldn't hear what that answer was. As far as it was a draft, and was that?
There's a separate road agreement that county engineer has gone through. He would have been here today, but he had a personal matter to take care of.
Sure.
But when this came to light, it was going to be on the agenda. I talked to Jeff about it and he assured me that it's taken care of. Any concerns about roads or use of roads, damage to roads, repairs to roads are all in the road use agreement that Jeff has.
Sure. So the question about process, is that the process that occurs? That I think there were 3 areas of draft in the application, if I'm correct. And so any of those that they would be addressed by this board and would be approved by this board, is that the process?
Yes.
Well, not all of them.
Oh, go ahead.
So the road use agreement will just be done by the county. We consult with the county engineer, but it will not be addressed by the board. It would be between Jeff Rose and Steve Goodlow, should he wish, but it would be the county engineer's responsibility. The drainage district, because they are the trustees of the drainage district, is a responsibility of the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, so the safety protocol?
That was already signed off on prior to the board acting on it last April, because that Mike, Eric, and the firefighter, or the chief fire districts all signed off on that prior to.
Okay, so
that one was already executed prior to the April hearing.
okay, so as far as communication, then it sounds like, Megan, we just basically reach out to you if we have a question about something, because there's different processes.
Yes.
So with the permit, then I guess my question would be those items that were contingent or were identified in the permit approval. For example, the alternate staging area to be researched to be reviewed by the county engineer. How would we know if that's been done, or the process, where we are in that?
That is still being explored at this point in time. So you can reach out to myself or Jeff to see where we're at in that process. But that has not, the alternate laydown has not been officially confirmed at this point in time when I spoke with Jeff yesterday.
Okay, and what is the process if they would recommend a new location?
Since it was just the board directed the county engineer to approve that, it would just require the approval of the county engineer. So.
And would that require a public hearing then as well, to include people that would live near that area?
It would not. I mean, Jeff could communicate that at a board meeting should he wish. I don't want to speak on behalf of him, but since it's his decision.
I guess I could see some concerns. with that from the public?
I think the
And
original
awareness.
staging area at the time of the hearing had a concern, and that's why we were looking at the alternate one.
Yes.
And if I know Jeff, any spot that he agrees to, he's gonna try to find the least controversial place he can stage.
I'm sure.
But what was in the original one, it's not, that's not gonna be the location, is my understanding. So,
Okay, so there isn't a mechanism other than if people are asking questions to determine where that's going to be. There's no notification that we're moving that location to this
No, there is not.
region for the public to be aware of what's going on.
No, there is not.
Is that something that we could consider further so that people could have that knowledge and
If
if it's,
I would like Jeff to speak to that, because
Sure.
ultimately it's going to fall to him. Obviously, we will work closely with Red Rock and Invenergy in regards to that placement, but I mean, he can include it in one of his reports to the board, so.
as you know, Chris, Jeff's usually here every. week.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
I know that. It's just a timing thing. And this was on the agenda, so I thought it was a
Absolutely.
perfect
Glad you're here.
opportunity to ask those questions. So,
Absolutely.
you know, the permit also addressed ADLS requirements be installed if the project is approved by FAA. And I was curious if any application had been completed with ADLS, and was the FAA going to approve that with their proposed project?
Do you know yet, Joe?
We're working on it. And Chris, you can always call me and ask these questions too, if you want to hear it from me. I'm more than happy to chat with you.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
If there is nothing else.
Bill,
That's right.
I want to make sure everybody saw the email that we got this morning, early this morning about the voluntary annexation of an urbanized area into Spirit Lake. Would you like to say anything about that? Are you gonna attend the hearing or?
I will be on Zoom, yes, I'm unfortunately, I'm in Cherokee tomorrow for a well assessment training, but I will step out. I do know that there are some concerned landowners that are adjacent to this property, that once I get back upstairs, I will also be sending them this link because they wanted to voice their concerns and opinions as well.
Good, good,
It was
thanks.
kind of last second almost,
This morning, and the
you
hearing's
know,
tomorrow.
it's tomorrow at 1 o'clock, so. Doesn't give much prep time for anyone, but I want to make sure that we got it out, so.
Good for you.
That's all I had. And in that instance, I would make the motion that we adjourn.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Mr. Clark has moved. Mr. Dullard is second to adjourn. There's further discussion. Hearing none. Mr. Clark.
Aye.
Mr. Dullard.
Aye.
Levi. Kim.
Aye.
And Bill is aye. We are officially adjourned at 10:00.